she came back and she shopped with us again and again and again. That's a huge thing to have a repeat customer. In the mobile office again, I wanted to share a story about Nora and I's first return. We were at a craft show and we hadn't discussed, what a return policy looked like or what it was or what our rules were going to be. Anyway, we had this young lady, I would guess her to be 9 years old, come up and she had a bracelet that she had purchased from us about 30 minutes before, and she says, "Sir, I would like to return this." And I wasn't prepared for a return, and we hadn't discussed what our rules were going to be, so I said, "Okay," as I glanced over at my wife, and she glanced back at me. And she gave me the bracelet, and I looked at it. It looked like the same bracelet as when she took it. What I'm saying, it wasn't broke or anything like that. And I'm like, okay, well, yep, then I'll return it. So I give her money back, and she left our booth at about 27 mile an hour and headed down the aisle towards another booth. And my wife says, "What was that all about?" I said, "Well, I'm not real sure, but I think we just got our first return." And she's like, "I think we did." Which, since then we've talked about our return policy and how we want to handle it and what we think things need to look like for that. But what we learned was, to be prepared, to be ready. The kicker to the story is this. That same young lady came back to our booth 3 times that day and purchased all 3 times. So I think the moral of the story is because we allowed her to return the bracelet for whatever reason. Maybe it didn't match her friend's color bracelet or whatever. I don't know. I never asked. But she came back and she shopped with us again and again and again. That's a huge thing. To have a repeat customer, that's a huge thing. So first of all, you might want a return policy before you start selling stuff. And then you might want to have a little grace for your customer because you might want them to be your customer again. Just a thought.